Hey, welcome back. It's a terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. We are just feeling it out here at our new studio. We're on Broadway. We made it big. We're at 350 Broadway, downtown Manhattan, and we're doing what we do every day on Newsmax TV on Liquid Lunch. We are creating a space where the purple people hang out, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, all come on down. We throw out the topics of the day, and slug it out. Usually in this point here, I mix up a drink and the guests fight it out no matter what. We shake hands at the end and part friends. We're waiting for nationally syndicated radio host Kevin McCullough to join us, but in his absence, Josh Kravitz joins us again. Josh is a Democratic leader here in New York and has been on Liquid Lunch many times. And I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but before McCullough gets here, I just wanted to ask you your thoughts on this climate change stuff. You know, we're importing Swedish teenagers now to lead the charge against global climate change. Is that good?
Well, Greta Thunberg was sitting outside the Swedish parliament by herself every Friday.
Okay.
A 16-year-old girl, 15-year-old at the time.
Fair enough.
Now she's 16. And now there are 300,000 people in lower Manhattan protesting. So is it a good thing? It's what a movement is. It's a beautiful thing. And
where were the 300,000 people?
They were in Foley Square just here last week.
Right downtown, there was 300,000
There was a lot of people.
I went down there. It didn't look like 300,000.
There were a lot of people.
It was from the courts to Battery Park.
Okay.
It was from the courts to Battery Park.
I mean, I'm not surprised. They all had off from school.
Yeah, I'm saying, do you think a 16-year-old girl sitting in front of the Swedish embassy started that, or do you think some of these evil Sith lords behind these progressive organizations like, you know, MoveOn.org and others are really funding this stuff?
Aren't the evil Sith lords the Koch brothers, the people who spend their money lobbying to pollute the environment so that the Earth is the hottest it's been in 120,000 years.
120,000 years.
120,000 years. We were talking.
We're going to have to fact check that. We're going to have to fact check that.
Okay, please do.
Because everybody, all these climate scientists are saying this is the hottest. Even Frank said earlier in the show that this is the hottest summer in 200 years. Or the hottest summers in the last 200 years have been in the last 10 years. Or
No, you can make the case that, you know, it has nothing to do with greenhouse gas emissions, but I don't think you can credibly argue that it's not getting hotter. It's getting hotter.
You know, everyone feels it. Everyone feels it. Wherever you are, everyone feels it. And the thing is it has knock-on effects, because what happens is there are people in the lower Sahara who are leaving their homes and taking boats into Europe. And now we have an immigration problem.
So this is the new talking point that
global
climate change is causing a humanitarian disaster, because when it's hot and there's no water, then the people have to go to other places where it's not so hot, and then now it's an immigration crisis. But when Trump says we have a humanitarian crisis at the border because all these people are coming here because there's no money and food in their country, that's not a humanitarian crisis.
Of course,
similar thing.
They're related. There's a climate issue. Climate is part of the problem.
So you think you think the caravan coming from Mexico is related to global warming?
I think that there's an argument to be made, if you look at it in a nuanced fashion, if you look at it globally, that the reason why these drug gangs in Central America are prospering is because there's no money, because there's no food, because of global climate change has changed the dynamics of the most important thing, which is the food supply in Central America. That's the truth.
What?
That's just the truth.
No, I was just letting you know Kevin's here.
Okay.
I see him champing at the bit.
Walk him in the middle of the segment?
Well, I agree with most of what he said. I mean,
you agree with what he said?
For the most part, you know.
They agreed. I didn't. But basically what you just said, if I could distill it all down to a simple analogy, you said...
Distill it down to a vodka.
Koch brothers are basically causing drug dealing.
Well,
because the cartels are selling drugs because there's no money.
Let me dissent on that on that aspect.
That's what he kind of just said.
I think you could build a through line between those in the Republican establishment, those who are the Republican donors who have a vested interest in polluting the environment. You can build a through line to the degrees of Celsius that the Earth is warming, to the carbon in the atmosphere, to the knock-along effects, to the people who are dying on boats in the Mediterranean. There is a common thread that combines all of them. So yes, the thing is if you really want to look at it that way, you can partially blame the Koch brothers and their ilk.
Well, for starters,
the people
well, they have the right
dying
name.
for
I
those
mean, let's call a spade a
kids.
spade. If they're the ones that are fueling the cartels, who better to do it than the Koch brothers?
Well,
because,
for starters,
they're selling kilos like it's their job. I'm just saying, they got the right name.
Wait,
Nothing
for starters,
else. Wrong spelling. but
David
right
Koch
name.
passed away, unfortunately.
Right.
So it's the
Now
Koch.
we're vilifying
it's the
the
Koch
dead
brother.
guy, right?
Right.
So
The
it's
Koch
the one.
brother.
We're
One
even
brother.
speaking ill about a dead guy now.
No,
and say
just-
the
it's
Koch
just the Koch
brothers
brother.
are the modern day Sinaloa cartel.
Right, the Koch brother.
They're causing it, or they spawned El Chapo.
No, that's
That's what he's saying, Frank. You don't try to get him out of it. He's our friend.
No, but I'm just stating the fact. That's not accurate.
That's what you're saying.
Look, we live in a global world. Consequences have consequences have consequences. They knock on from one another. So yeah, when it sounds silly, it sounds farcical when you say the Koch brothers are related to the El Chapo. It sounds farcical. But when you take a second and you think about the knock-on effects of one after the other, people living in poverty and despair and in the global south, where climate change is having its greatest effects, A, because they didn't have money to begin with to be able to help themselves, and B, because of the way that the climate is affecting them. And you look back at the way that in the last 50 years we've just been pumping carbon in the environment, yes, there's a way in which there's a through line to all of it.
I can't believe that, and it's not something I've ever heard before, but it is a scintillating argument
Well, look,
from my very good friend Josh Kravitz.
The stakes are high.
We're going to take a quick break, and I'm not going to have to duel him and Frank the next segment because my good friend Kevin McCullough is going to be here to represent the men on the right. You're watching The Right Show at the right time. You stay right there, and we'll be right back.